he's a nothing lawyer, that he's a hack. What do you make of the way that Giuliani has responded to the indictment so far?
Well, I think that we should, no matter what, there should be some civility, right? As a lawyer, you may disagree with someone's position or the indictment itself, but to start throwing names in doing that, it defeats its purpose itself. Ultimately, it'll be up to the jury based on the facts and evidence of what's presented. But we also have to remember that according to the indictment, these people have not been named. So we're only speculating or assuming who they are in fact, and they haven't been charged as well. So I think that is key to remember that. Now, Jack Smith said it was an ongoing investigation and there could be some issues for that. We know that Rudy Giuliani has faced some issues in DC with his bar license as well, but we're going to have to wait to see ultimately how that plays out.
Okay, we've dusted off the Giuliani clip. Here it is.
I have a chapter in my book called Stand Up to Bullies. So here's what I say to Jack Smith. After the Supreme Court threw out your case, which should have been a disgrace, and you should have gone and found another profession because you don't belong in this one. This one will be your legacy, violating the right of free speech of an American citizen. Never mind whether he was president or not. It could be anybody. It could be a homeless person. You don't get to violate people's First Amendment rights, Smith, no matter who the hell you are, or no matter how sick you are with Trump derangement syndrome. And this isn't the first time you've acted like an unethical lawyer. It should be the last.
Kelly, if he is trying to leave open the option of turning these co-conspirators into state witness, Giuliani doesn't seem to me somebody who's ready to turn.
Well, you never know what ultimately what's going on, or if that could potentially happen as well. But there's no need to throw mud. We can disagree on different issues, but we don't have to be disagreeable to one another. But ultimately, it'll be up to the jury based on the evidence and facts presented to them, whether they believe that Trump should be in fact convicted of these crimes. And we'll have to see how
Jennifer, I just want to look at some more in that New York Times poll, because we're all sitting here. It's a dramatic event. We're all presuming that the case in Washington, D.C. becomes the determining factor in the election. But I wonder if it is actually, because when you look at this poll and you ask people about the economy and you ask them about abortion, actually, for a lot of people, these are much more important matters. Let's just put them up on screen. So first of all, the case of abortion, should it be legal? You've got effectively, I don't know, about, I think it was nearly 60% of people. We've got legal, but practically illegal as well. It's not on that graph, but it's about 60% of people. 2/3 of people think abortion should be legal. And then when you ask them about the economy, an overwhelming majority of people don't think that the economy is going in the right direction. There you go. You see, 49% of people think it's poor. Only 2% think Joe Biden's doing an excellent job. I mean, on the economy, there's a lot of room there, Jennifer, for Donald Trump, but the Republicans are on the wrong sides of the track when it comes to abortion.
Well, for a number of years, I don't know why the Republicans have latched on to the abortion issue as their top one priority issue, because it gets so close to people's lives and government intrusion in people's lives. There used to be a wiggle room there where abortion provided that for the health and welfare of the mother, the safety of the child, or incest, rape and incest. And so that was a wiggle room for an exclusion for it. And now we've gone so far into almost every legislative session in almost every state, there's an abortion legislation that's coming about. Granted, we have to be in a country care for the unborn as well. But when everything turns out that it appears that we're trying to control the decisions and the lives of individuals, where we claim to be, on the Republican side, they claim to be a party of personal responsibility, of letting the people make their own decisions. If the law is what it is, then within the confines of the law, let individuals make their own choices and decisions.
I only point that out just because obviously we get fixated on Donald Trump, but there are more everyday, mundane, very important issues sometimes for people which they do vote on. In terms of Donald Trump and whether he becomes the candidate, Kelly, there are some who say that is now a done deal because he becomes the martyr every day he is in court. That plays well in the primary. But then he has to appeal to an independent electorate in the general election. How do you think Republicans are going to help him reach out to those people?
Well, you bring up an interesting point, right? Ultimately, it'll be up to the Republican voters to make a determination if, in fact, they want Donald J. Trump to be their nominee, their person that's going to represent them and potentially be president of the United States. But there is some Republicans that haven't gotten behind him and supported him. Even people in his former administration have come out very strongly against him. And so there's going to be some people that are going to obviously support him and stay with him. But there are some Republicans that have come out and that do not support him. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes. But ultimately, we live in a democracy, and if Trump is the nominee, it'll be up to the voters to make a determination on who they want to lead the U.S. for the next 4 years. What kind of country do they want?
I was just hinting, though, in the question as to whether Republicans, they've got their talking points. They know that Donald Trump wants them to focus on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And I wonder if actually the strategy on the Republican side is to say, look, all politicians are the same. Joe Biden is the same as Donald Trump. A turn-off for independents such that actually it becomes quite a narrow vote, this. Donald Trump stays in it because everybody's so repulsed by the state of politics in Washington.
Well, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting, strategy. That was said that was used during the time that Hillary Clinton ran for office, that people weren't showing up to vote. And so that way that it limited the number of people that voting. But I think it's important that people realize how important this election is and how significant it is, not only for the U.S., but for all our allies across the world. And it's going to be key. It shapes our country and other countries for the near future. And I think that that's really important to look at it from that standpoint. But Hunter Biden is not running for political office, right? Donald J. Trump is running for office. And so the actions are against him. And I think that he needs to be held accountable for those actions. And so I think that that's key, that trying to turn it around on a family member. But Hunter Biden is not running for office.
OK, we'll talk more about the arraignment tomorrow. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.